Good morning guys, good morning mga kapasive. Welcome back sa ating channel. For today's video guys, we all know every week we do a income reveal ng ating passive income portfolio. But before that guys, may nag-comment dun sa isa sa mga video natin regarding MER or yung management fees. So before tayo mag-reveal muna, pag-usapan muna natin yung MER or yung management fees. Ano ba tong mga management fees na to that the income or the fund managers charges on our investments? Paano ba siya nakakaapekto sa total return ng ating investment, and is it something that you really have to consider on when it comes to choosing which funds to invest. So, yun, pag-usapan natin guys. Alright guys, as we all know, lahat ng mga fund managers, mga ETF providers guys, they are business. Business yung mga yan. And those businesses, in order for them to operate at magkaroon sila ng kita, they should also generate income for the company that they work for. So, dyan pumapasok yung MER, guys, or yung Management Expense Ratio. Pag pumunta kayo sa website, for example, ng isang fund manager, for example, Hamilton ETFs, tingnan nyo doon yung mga ETF or funds na available for you to invest in. Makikita mo doon yung overview, yung asset under management nila, yung yield, yung market price, yung net asset value, and then makikita mo rin doon yung MER or yung management fees. For example, sa HYLD na ETF, this is a Canadian fund. They charge 0% management fees kasi yung HYLD inside that ETF it composed of a basket of different ETFs as well. So yung mga ETFs inside this ETF ng HYLD, they are already charging management fees. So hindi na nagdo-double dip ang HYLD sa investor. Kumbaga yung mga underlying asset, since meron na silang charge na management expense ratio or management fees, yung HYLD, zero na yung kanilang charge na management fees. Meron namang hindi lang naman HYLD or Hamilton. Marami dyan na if you go say Harvest, sa Harvest ETFs, yung kanilang HHIS na fund or yung kare-release lang nito, I think I already mentioned this on my previous video. Parang 0% din yung kanilang management fees, and it consists of the mostly tech stocks, the biggest stocks or name brands or companies that you can think of. Amazon, Meta, those Nvidia, those companies inside this ETF. But they don't charge MER. So 0% din. But in case dun sa hawak namin, sa case namin sa YMAX, let's say yung YMAX ETF from the US stock market, they charge, or YMAG, or they charge like around 0.4% of management fees. Or no, sorry, they charge 1.28%. That's really huge. Kasi if you compare it to let's say just the typical index-based ETF that doesn't do covered call, like VFV in Canadian market, o yung Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, they only charge 0.09% of management fees, because these typical index-based management fee or ETF, guys, hindi naman siya actively manage. Yung management style niya is passive. So maliit lang chine-charge nila na MER. Compared dito sa mga actively managed covered call ETFs na meron tayo, like yung hawak namin, they are really actively managed because they write calls, some of them every day, 0 day to expiration contracts for them to generate income. So talagang actively managed siya. So that means they have to put a lot of work onto managing these funds. Therefore, they're charging more on management fees. So that's how it works, guys. Basically, ganito yun. The higher the MER, mas malaki yung mababawas sa total return mo sa investment mo. Mas mababa ang MER, mas maraming kumbaga mas malaki yung magiging total return mo in theory kung maganda yung performance ng fund. Kumbaga mas maliit yung mababawas. So yun, ganun lang yun, guys. Is this something you have to be worried about or you have to look into in choosing which fund for you to invest in? Depende sa'yo. Ako aware ako na mataas yung china-charge nila na management fee dun sa mga fund na meron kami because they are actively managed. So aware ako doon, they have to charge more. And kumbaga, I also factored in yung yield na these funds generate. So kahit na let's say 1%, more than 1% yung charge na management fee ng hawak namin ng mga ETF, sa akin, this is my personal opinion, sa akin, okay lang yun na malaki yung i-charge nila kasi yung yield na nakukuha namin or yung income na nakukuha namin from these funds, malaki din naman. So, guys, ganito yan I'm not really into growth or the growth of the capital. I'm really into the income that my capital generates. Say during the lifetime of my portfolio, of our portfolio, say mag-invest kami ng 100 grand or say 500,000, example, over the course of say, kung makapag-retire kami hopefully before 50 or 50, and then this 500,000 remains the same throughout our retirement, but this 500,000 generates us like say 70, 80, 90 or $100,000 each year of income. So okay na sa akin yun. Hindi na ako concerned masyado dun sa capital. Although syempre, like I said, guys, lahat ng ETF relies on the performance of the underlying asset. So yun lang ang pag-aralan natin, guys, yung we have to make sure na komportable tayo and we believe and we do our research on the underlying asset that these ETFs have. Let's say index-based na ETF, say QDTE or the Nasdaq 100 covered call ETF. Isipin mo na lang, do you think these the top 100 tech stocks will disappear all at once? Kasi itong Nasdaq 100, guys, Just like the S&P 500, meron yan silang benchmark for the companies for them to include on the Nasdaq 100 index. Ibig sabihin, if a company doesn't meet this category or these parameters, hindi siya pa i-include or pwede siyang palitan dun sa fund. So, ibig sabihin may papalit dun na much more better company to. So, ibig sabihin nababalance out pa rin yung nababalance out, nawi-weed out yung mga underperforming na companies doon sa index na yon, and napapalitan sila ng better performing companies. So hindi ako worried na all of a sudden mawawala tong best 100 tech stocks companies. No. The worst case scenario na nakikita ko is babagsak lang yung presyo. Let's say magkaroon ng market crash. So let's say bumagsak all of a sudden within 1 week 20%, wipe out ang buong market. Ako as an income investor, hindi ako masyadong worried kasi I'm still making income from these covered call ETFs na hawak namin. For sure babagsak ang capital na ng capital namin, and then for sure mababa din ng ang income namin na mare-receive. But still, kumbaga may na-generate pa rin kaming income no matter what. As opposed to, sa akin lang to, and this is just my opinion, as opposed to a pure growth buy low sell high kind of investor. What if bumagsak ng 20% within 1 week lahat ng kapit mo? Kasi magkaroon ng market crash. And you needed the money, you needed the fund. So you're gonna have you're going to be forced to sell in a loss. So kumbaga, and then pag naka-recover yung market, kumbaga nabawasan na yung shares mo. Yun yung that's how I see it. So yun guys, MER, like I said, management fee that these fund managers charge on ETFs that they have. Please do your own research guys. Makikita nyo lahat yan sa website ng mga fund managers. You can go to Hamilton website, Harvest, Purpose Investments. Yung binabanggit ko is dito sa Canada. Marami pang ETF providers guys. Meron sa BMO, meron ng iShares, marami nang available dito sa Canadian market. So do your research, tingnan nyo kung ano yung mga china-charge nila na management fees, also factor in yung yield, also basta yung total performance nung fund. Makikita nyo din naman sa website, say since inception, say for the past year, for the past 5 years, ano ba yung return nitong fund na to, ano ba yung underlying asset ng mga fund na to, do I believe in these companies that they will withstand the test of time, and yun, yung mga ganun ba. And yeah, and like I said guys, hindi to, let's say, binili, maganda yung fund ngayon. Say yung HYLD, maganda yung fund na HYLD, magandang yan, foundation or USCL or QQCL. And then, may lumabas na bago. And you think, yung lumabas na bagong fund will do better in the long run, and hindi ka na happy dun sa HYLD, it's all up to you kung gusto mo mag-switch. Kumbaga, but the principle is the same. You buy it for the income, not the price growth. Yun lagi yung tatandaan nyo in this type of investment. So yan guys, sana na-address ko yung tanong nung nag-comment sa isa sa mga video natin about management expense ratio. So nakaka-apekto yan sa total return guys, pero yung income na nare-receive natin, kung kayo ay passive income investor like me, is yung distribution is net of these funds, management fees. Kumbaga, bawas na lahat nung pwedeng kaltasin doon sa distribution bago pa dumating sa account natin. So, in our case, hindi lang MER ang nababawas, kasi yung hawak namin is in the US market and I'm invested in tax-free savings account. So doon guys, since I'm invested in the US stock market, meron ding binabawas na 15% na withholding tax. But even though may MER and even though they are charging us like we have 15% withholding tax, okay pa rin yung income na nare-receive namin. Kumbaga, yung net income is still really good. So, yon. Ayun guys, so sana naliwanagan tayo. And yeah, if you're not really kung hindi pa rin maliwanag, please do your research. Makikita nyo lahat ng information sa mga website ng mga fund managers that I mentioned here, and marami pang iba. Yun lang guys, and let's go on to the income reveal. Alright, for the third week of February guys, income reveal na tayo. We receive a total of 374.40 cents, $374.40 US dollar to guys, kasi most of our or all of our holdings is in the US market. Okay, breakdown natin. For QDTE for the third week of February, we received $29.51, slightly lower than the second week of February distribution. Next is Triple QY. We received $35.77, slightly lower uli from the second week of February distribution. YMAG is $30.49. So malaki yung tinaas nito from the second week of February distribution, kasi yung second week distribution ng YMAG is only $11.34. Now it's back to $30.49. So YMAX for the third week, we receive $84.38. So malaki din yung tinaas nito from $68.48. And then lastly, we have TSLY. We receive $194.25. Medyo bumaba to guys from January. So, yung TSLY guys is monthly distribution. So yeah, yung January we received $222.15. Ngayon, for the month of February, we received $194.25. Ulitin ko, for the third week of February, we received $374.40 USD. So, around 500 siguro to mahigit if we convert it to Canadian dollars. So, ayan guys, yun yung ating income for the third week of February. If you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comment section. If you have any suggestions or something is not clear to you, please do let me know. But like I always mention, I'm not a professional, and this is just for entertainment purposes only. Please do consult a licensed financial advisor if you have anything, or if you wanted to invest in anything and you're not sure where to start. Please do consult the professional guys. Maraming salamat and see you on the next one.